My name is John Smith. I turned 30 this summer. Today, I'm planning to attend a reunion of my high school classmates. I've never been to a reunion before, so I'm really excited. I wonder how everyone has changed. I moved away right after graduating high school, so I haven't seen any of my classmates since then. I've received notices for reunions before but could never attend due to work. However, this time, it's a big event for our 30th anniversary, as the invitation mentioned. Plus, I got a call from my good friend Michael Johnson.
John, you've got to come to the next reunion. Everyone talks about you every time. They really want to see you. I'm organizing it this time and have booked a nice place, so you have to come.
Although I haven't seen Michael since graduation, he sends me greeting cards every year and calls every few years. He's such a good guy. Thanks, I think I can make it this time.
Really? I'm looking forward to it.
Since Michael went through the trouble of inviting me and my work has finally settled down, I decided to attend this time. Looking back, my high school years were quite eventful. I was born in a fishing village. I had a happy childhood there. My family of four, including my parents and younger sister, lived by the sea. I grew up surrounded by nature. The area had the sea, rivers, and mountains, so every day felt like an adventure. My parents ran a seafood processing factory. They employed about 50 people. It was quite a big business locally. My dad, the owner, was not the boastful type. He was very approachable, and all the employees felt like friends. Being his son, I felt cherished by everyone. In the morning on my way to school, they'd say, "John, have a good day, study hard." And when I returned, they'd invite me to snack with them. "Welcome back, John. We have some snacks, let's eat together." It was like living in a big family. All this was thanks to my parents' popularity, and I feel I was treated really well by everyone around. My dad worked mostly on land, but sometimes he went out on fishing boats.
We can't work with sea products without understanding the sea. It's important to see and experience everything firsthand.
He used to say. He always seemed happy when he took me along.
John, you coming?
I'd always eagerly join him. Going fishing meant waking up early and helping with the preparations. But the excitement of fishing outweighed all that. We'd board the fishing boat at sunrise. There was always a lot to do on the boat. Just sitting around wouldn't catch fish, and being slow could be dangerous. But Dad never raised his voice. Instead, while steering the large boat, he'd smile and say, "Wonder what fish we'll catch today?" That smile made me feel like the world was a safe and comforting place. I learned about fishing from Dad, one step at a time. I came to understand the difficulty of catching fish and the gratitude of having them. When we returned home, Mom would have a feast prepared in the morning. Frankly, her cooking was the best. She was a fantastic cook. With fresh seafood, our table was always abundant. During meals, our family would say, "It's delicious today. This is Mom's cooking. The best food on earth is what Mom makes. If you praise me so much, I'll cook even more." Everyone eat a lot. Laughter was always part of our meals. Thanks to Mom's cooking, I learned the taste of the sea's bounty. Living in a seaside town, the sound of the waves was always in the background. The voices of my dad and the fishermen, along with my mom singing, always felt soothing to me. In that happy space, I often played with Michael. We built sandcastles on the beach and chased crabs along the shoreline. As the sunset turned the sea orange, we shared our dreams for the future.
John, you're going to take over your dad's business and become the boss, right?
I don't know yet. But I want to create something even tastier. Everything we make at my dad's company is delicious, but I want to invent something even better.
Man, just hearing about it makes me hungry. You gotta let me try it when you make it.
Time flew by in such carefree conversations. And then I'd return home to a warm family.
John, I prepared this just for you.
My dad said one day, returning from work with a small model boat in his hands. I cheered with joy, dreaming of sailing uncharted seas with that boat.
John, you should follow your own path. The boat that sails into the future is yours alone.
As my mom smiled gently, I resolved to pursue my dreams. But in my second year of high school, our happy times changed dramatically. Little did I know then how much my dad's factory would darken our lives. It was a day in my second year of high school. It was a day I'll never forget when my happy days suddenly crumbled. That day, I had won first place in a relay race and we had curry for lunch. It should have been one of the best days for me. I ran home, eager to tell my parents about the relay. I planned to drop off my backpack and head straight to the factory. But when I got home, I saw my parents, who should have been at the factory, sitting in the living room. Why aren't you at the factory today? Well, never mind. Actually, today As I started to speak excitedly, I noticed something different about my parents. They looked troubled. Mom tried to put on a brave smile, but her eyes were filled with sadness. Dad let out a deep sigh, and his eyes held an apologetic look as he turned to me.
John, we need to talk to you.
Confused, I sensed from their demeanor that something had happened.
You see, our factory.
Dad began to explain slowly. A relative's factory faced financial troubles, amassing a huge debt. That relative was forced to leave, and the debt fell on us.
I'm sorry, John. I never wanted to burden you like this.
Mom's words left me, a kid, shocked and filled with regret. The decision to shoulder the relative's debt meant our happy days were abruptly taken from us. 3 months later, the factory closed. The warm times by the sea turned cold all at once. My parents busied themselves finding jobs for the employees and ensuring they were paid until the end. The debt burden seemed to engulf my dad's smile, my mom's singing, and our family's laughter in dark clouds. Truth be told, my dream was to become a top-notch business executive. I wanted to grow and make my dad's company famous, studying hard since I was little with that goal in mind. I hoped to take over the factory and bring new opportunities to our fishing village. However, the factory closure and the relative's debt derailed my plans for further education. Not only was my dream of going to college fading, but it became clear I couldn't even attend college at all. This was because I had to work to pay off our debts. Suddenly, the reality of having to work instead of studying was right in front of me. Though my local high school was in the countryside, none of my friends had to work right after high school. They all went on to the colleges they wanted. In this situation, the fact that I was the only one who had to work right after high school was really tough.
John, is it true you're not going to college?
Yeah, I think so. I want to at least make sure my sister can go to college. I'll work.
I see. I was hoping to hang out with you in college too. But it can't be helped. Hang in there.
Yeah, thanks. Our family left our town as soon as I graduated from high school and started living in a small apartment in the neighboring county. Frankly, our lives have changed 180 degrees. Life was constantly hard, and having enough to eat was a thing of the past. Moreover, since both of my parents were working non-stop to pay off the debt, it became impossible for our family to even be together. That's partly why I had a hard time attending reunions. The town, once full of wonderful memories, had turned into a place of painful experiences. Of course, work was busy, but the truth is, I also felt uneasy about going back. Yet today, I finally felt ready to face that past. As I was lost in thought on my way to the reunion venue, Michael called me.
John, you know where the place is? It's an Italian restaurant called Mare. If you're not sure, just search it online, it'll pop right up. It's been really popular lately. It was tough to get a reservation.
Yeah, I know where it is. I might be a bit late, but I'll definitely be there.
Got it, we're counting on you. Almost everyone's coming today. Everyone's looking forward to seeing you, wondering what you're like now. You are quite the popular guy among us, you know?
Hey, stop putting pressure on me, will you? Haha. I thought I was walking leisurely, but during the call with Michael, I somehow reached the restaurant. I stood outside, looking at its exterior. It looked a lot like the place I saw that night. That night, I was wandering aimlessly through the town streets alone. After graduating from high school and moving, I obviously didn't know anyone in the new place. With both my parents working day and night, the house was mostly empty. Having grown up surrounded by employees and feeling like part of a big family, those days were incredibly lonely for me. Moreover, months had passed since graduation, and I still hadn't found a job. Even in a rural area, there weren't many job opportunities for a high school graduate. Not knowing what to do and unable to find a job, I spent my days in a daze. Then, on one such lonely night, when my parents were away at work and my sister was staying at our grandmother's, I walked the night streets aimlessly. Suddenly, a delicious aroma wafted my way. Drawn in, I opened the door to the source of the scent and was greeted by a cozy light and even more inviting smells of food.
Welcome.
A cheerful voice called from the back, making me turn around. What I saw was a kind-looking middle-aged man. He welcomed me with a bright smile, and I felt a sense of comfort I'd never experienced before.
Elle, are you alone? Did the smell of food bring you in?
The kind man talking to me was the restaurant manager. No, I wasn't here to eat. I was looking for a job.
A job? Well, are you hungry? I'll make something for you. Just sit down over there.
The manager went into the kitchen and quickly started cooking something. He soon came out with a big plate, handed me a fork, and said, "Here, eat this." What he made was aqua pazza. A simple yet delicious dish where the taste of fish really shines. From the first bite, I was amazed. Moreover, since moving to this town, I hardly had the chance to eat a warm meal. My mom, working nights, would leave food for us, but by the time I ate, it was always cold. The hot dish, flavored with garlic, instantly won me over. While I was eagerly devouring the aqua pazza, the owner, smiling, said,
So, you're looking for a job. Would you like to work here? We're actually short-staffed right now.
He offered me his hand with a friendly smile. Surprised, I instinctively shook it, feeling a comforting warmth.
So, what's your name?
Oh, John Smith.
John? I feel like I've seen your face somewhere. Aren't you the kid from the seafood processing plant?
I was shocked to meet someone who knew me in such an unexpected place. Yes, my father did work in a seafood factory, but...
Right, they closed down suddenly, didn't they?
Yes.
That's a real shame. Actually, we used to buy some products from your company. They were fresh and delicious. I was really surprised when they suddenly disappeared. It was a big loss.
I hesitantly shared my past and current situation with the owner, including giving up my dream of further education to work after high school, the closure of the factory, and the family debt issue. The owner listened intently to my story, his face filled with sympathy and understanding.
So, you're working instead of going to college. That's not an easy thing to do. You're really admirable.
For the first time, I felt like someone understood my situation, and it eased my loneliness. His words lit a new hope in my heart.
You're looking for more than just a job, aren't you? You have a dream, right?
The owner asked. I nodded honestly and shared my long-held passions and hopes for the future. He listened with deep emotion and then made a surprising offer.
Why don't you work here and learn about restaurant management? I might be able to help make your dream come true.
His words filled me with excitement and gratitude. His kindness and understanding were a lifeline for me. That day, I finally found a job. I decided to work hard at the restaurant while steadily moving toward my dream. Standing in front of the reunion venue, I remembered that fateful day. After a moment of reflection, I opened the door to the restaurant. As I stepped in, I was greeted by familiar faces from my past. It felt like I had slipped back into my high school days.
Hey, John, you finally made it. We've been waiting.
Michael called out, and others turned to look at me, gathering around with smiles.
John, it's been a while. How have you been?
John, you haven't changed a bit, just like in high school.
Familiar faces gathered around one after another, chatting with me warmly. My heart was filled with happiness. I'm really glad I came here today, I said sincerely. Amidst the crowd, one man was glaring at me with evident dissatisfaction, clicking his tongue in disapproval. It was Tom. He's someone I've known since elementary school who for some reason always treated me as a rival. It was probably because I had slightly better grades than him. Though uncommon for a rural kid, Tom had attended tutoring since elementary school. But still, he couldn't beat my test scores, which must have frustrated him. Over 10 years had passed, yet Tom's hostility towards me remained unabated. He said loudly so that everyone could hear,
Look, John's here. He's just a high school grad, right? How can he show up at a reunion without any shame?
Tom pointed at me, drawing attention. Some in the crowd sneered at his words, momentarily taken aback.
Hey, John, what's it like being just a high school grad? Someone like me, an elite, can't even imagine it. After all, I graduated from a prestigious private university and work at a top bank. The world of an elite is different from yours, you know.
Tom walked towards me with a self-satisfied grin. Surprised but determined to remain calm, I replied, Isn't the elite world tough too, with all the quotas and office politics? Tom let out a deliberate sigh and said with a smirk,
Sure, elites have their own problems, but that's something you, John, will never understand.
I see. Everyone has their struggles. I have mine too, but I'm proud of my work, having learned from past experiences. Tom's smirk grew at my words.
Pride? What pride can a high school grad like you have?
Tom's friends nearby nodded in agreement. Looking down on me, hesitating momentarily, I decided to stick to my principles. I'm living a fulfilling life despite financial hardships. It's not about being an elite or not. Everyone has their own path. Tom seemed very displeased at being counted and continued to glare at me. He then approached me with a condescending look.
Why are you even here? Shouldn't high school grads stick with their own kind?
I replied calmly. This is a reunion for everyone, isn't it? I'm just enjoying it like anyone else. Tom laughed mockingly.
A reunion is for elites, right? Someone like you ruins the atmosphere.
He overted his smile, showing a gesture of looking down at me to the others. The atmosphere became awkward, yet his friend smiled along with his attitude. Why do you look down on me so much, Tom? I wouldn't want to be someone who belittles others, even if I were an elite. Tom, hearing this, said proudly,
Success in the elite world is for the chosen few. It's ludicrous for someone at the bottom like you to even try.
His words about being at the bottom infuriated me, but I decided to respond calmly. Success in any form comes from personal effort and belief. Just because you're an elite doesn't mean you need to look down on others. Tom then scoffed and raised his voice towards the other alumni.
Elites are chosen and successful. That's why people like us can't be understood by those at the bottom.
The words spread among the crowd, creating a stir. Indeed, I was the only high school graduate there. I suddenly felt isolated, but resolved not to lose my dignity. I chose to remain silent. This strategy seemed to work. My silence highlighted Tom's unpleasant character, and my dignified response created a different impression among the others. Tom, sensing the atmosphere turning against him, asked with keen interest,
Hey, John, what's your annual income?
Caught off guard by the sudden question, I hesitated. Well, about $15,000. Tom burst into loud laughter, gesturing to his friends.
This guy makes only $15,000 a year. Can you even live on that?
Despite feeling hurt by his harsh words, I decided to reply calmly. I'm not struggling with my life, and money isn't the only standard to evaluate a person. Skill and money don't always go hand in hand, do they? I replied to Tom's condescending remarks. He dismissed my words with a disdainful smirk.
If we're talking about skill, how many times more is my income than yours? John, there's just a difference between a high school grad and an elite.
Tom's arrogance worsened the atmosphere at the reunion. His attitude was creating discomfort among the attendees, their expressions growing more stern.
Why is Tom behaving like that? We're all just trying to have a good time.
Right. John is standing up for his way of life, while Tom is looking down on everyone.
My friends felt the awkwardness from Tom's behavior, but tried to lighten the mood. I moved away from Tom, joining Michael and others. Sorry, it seems like I've ruined the mood.
Why are you apologizing, John? It's Tom who's being ridiculous. Aren't you going to say something back?
Let's not make things worse. I tried to enjoy conversations with my friends despite the tense air. But Tom kept following me, making snide remarks.
With John here, even a nice restaurant like this feels ruined.
He sneered. The others looked uncomfortable at his cold words. Tom, can't you be a bit more normal? A reunion is supposed to be fun.
Being normal is a job for ordinary people like you guys. I'm an elite.
Elite or not, looking down on others is enough, Tom. Tom didn't stop, continuing with his smug expression and disdainful looks. I was pained to see my friends uncomfortable, but wanted to preserve our enjoyable time together. Every time Tom spoke, the atmosphere soured further, diminishing the joy and warmth of the reunion. That's when I noticed something off about Tom's behavior. He seemed overly conscious of something. Observing Tom closely, it seemed he was flaunting his elite status whenever the restaurant's beautiful manager appeared.
This place is so popular. It's hard to get a reservation. I booked it today with my name. Perks of being an elite.
He would glance at her and deliberately speak loudly enough for her to hear. She appeared to be just smiling and ignoring him. Eventually, Tom grabbed her shoulder, forcing her to face him as he started speaking.
Being with an elite like me can bring you benefits.
Attempting to charm her, the manager maintained her professional demeanor, subtly brushing him off.
This atmosphere is getting unpleasant. Tom's showing off too much, don't you think?
Right. Besides, Michael is the one who booked this place, not Tom.
I listened to their conversation while keeping an eye on Tom. Suddenly, Tom loudly suggested it to the manager.
Let's meet outside sometime. I know lots of great places around here. Being an elite banker, I often use them for entertainment. I could bring you to this restaurant again if you dine with me.
The manager continued to handle him with a smile.
Thank you. It's lovely to have a place where everyone, regardless of their position, can enjoy themselves.
Tom kept flaunting his status, causing discomfort among us. As the reunion's mood turned uneasy, I decided to leave early.
Sorry, John. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
It's not your fault, Michael, but I'm glad I got to see everyone after so long. Thanks. Just as I was about to leave, the shopkeeper appeared.
Oh, John, are you leaving already?
Yeah, it's not very comfortable here. Everyone was stunned as I started talking casually with the shopkeeper. He continued.
Ah, that guy. He was scolded here by his boss before. It's surprising he dares to show his face again.
The owner glanced at Tom and then announced,
Boss, your bill is on the house?
On the house. The fee was already quite low, wasn't it? Michael, recovering from his surprise, asked.
Wait, what? John, you know the shopkeeper.
The shopkeeper proudly replied.
Yes. John is the owner of this restaurant. That's where we managed to squeeze in your reunion, as you're his friend.
The owner.
The entire room buzzed with surprise. That's why I didn't want to say anything. Sorry for keeping quiet, Michael, but since you found this place and made the reservation, I didn't know how to bring it up.
No way, you're the owner? That's amazing.
I had stumbled upon this Italian restaurant by chance and worked there, learning hospitality and cooking thoroughly. Simultaneously, the restaurant manager back then taught me the ins and outs of business. I couldn't study at school, but he gave me plenty of opportunities for social education. I was taken to various restaurants, allowed to participate in business seminars, and even went on international business inspections. The restaurant manager was quite skilled, and after that, he opened about 10 branches, all of which are thriving today. I learned the basics of business there and became independent 3 years ago. Thanks to the training from the manager, I now own about 5 restaurants.
A high school grad as an owner.
Tom still seemed unable to believe it. Tom, you've indeed used this restaurant a few times. I appreciate that. But last time you were here, weren't you scolded by a client? You had made a mistake in the numbers by a couple of digits, right? I happened to be here and heard the shouting. I revealed that in front of everyone, causing Tom to turn red. Oh, and the manager you've been desperately trying to woo. She's my wife.
What?
Tom's jaw dropped as the beautiful manager waved at me discreetly.
But you said your income was only $15,000 when I asked.
Tom yelled desperately. I shook my head slowly and replied, I didn't finish speaking earlier. That was the amount of my property tax this year. Just got off the phone with my accountant about it.
Property tax of $15,000 means an income of about $2 million, right? That's amazing, John.
Michael, who worked at an accounting firm, quickly did the math.
2 million.
Tom seemed at a loss for words. It doesn't matter if I earn $2 million or not. I don't think of myself as superior. The value of a person isn't in money. But just to clarify, what's your income, Tom?
Oh.
He was speechless. It was a complete turnaround. He was red-faced and stomping his feet.
I am an elite. My success is proof.
But weren't you scolded for a simple mistake by your client and even your boss? With his true nature exposed, Tom became increasingly isolated. People naturally distanced themselves from him. Meanwhile, more and more people gathered around me. Success is the result of individual effort and belief. We are all human, regardless of our position. By the end of the reunion, Tom had disappeared. I later heard that he was being transferred to a remote island due to repeated simple mistakes at work. Indeed, elites have their own troubles. As for me, I'm planning to open another new restaurant soon. The restaurants I own are known for their fresh seafood and a warm, home-like atmosphere. All thanks to what I learned from my parents, the factory employees, and the restaurant manager who helped me in the past. Success isn't everything. It's human warmth, friendship, and love that bring richness to life.